Are you all able to see the screen now? Okay, fine. Okay. I'm a bit worried because of the network issues that are there today. If in case you if I lose the connection and if you can't see the screen, you can please message in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So let us start unit 3.4, that is performance assessment. And as we have started and as we have discussed in the beginning, what is performance assessment? What are the activities that can be conducted in order to assess students' performance? Okay, and all of you all have given very beautiful answers to the question, and to an extent you understand the topic overall. So now let us see whether we can understand it in a more better way and in a more precise way. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, performance assessment. Performance assessment is also known as alternative or authentic assessment. Okay, so you need to note this down and understand that if a question is asked about authentic assessment or an alternative assessment, it is one and the same thing. Okay, it is these are the these are the terms which are used interchangeably. That is performance assessment, alternative assessment, authentic assessment. Okay. Although the definitions of each of these concepts are a bit different, but their meaning is the same. Now it is a form of testing. Okay. Read the terms very properly. It is a form of testing that requires students to perform a task. Okay, it requires students to perform a task rather than select an answer from a ready-made list. Okay, so now the moment you read the second point on the slide, you might question one of the activities that you have mentioned earlier. Okay, so it is not a test, it is not an activity. I would not say a test, it is not an activity which would want a student to select an answer from a ready-made list. Okay, see, if I am talking about a test like an objective test, okay, you cannot consider it as an assessment or a performance assessment. Why? Because it doesn't require a student to perform a task. Now, what is the performance of a task is a very important thing that we all need to understand. Let us go ahead so that the concept will get clear as we read out the points. Okay, it is a continuation, but I've just made it into another point so that it's easier for us to understand it. So let us read it in one go. It is a form of testing that requires students to perform a task rather than select an answer from a ready-made list. Then judge the quality of the students' work based on agreed set of criteria. Okay, now see, judging the quality of the students' work based on agreed set of criteria. Here another point comes into picture. Now, when as a teacher I conduct any objective test in the classroom, okay, what do I expect the students to do basically? What are your expectations, or what would be your expectations from your students if you conduct a objective test in the class? What would you expect them to do? Just in brief, if some of you all can answer. What are your expectations from the students who are giving an objective test which is administered by you as a teacher? Anyone? Or what are the benchmarks that you would set for the students who are answering such a test? Nobody? Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible to everyone? Okay, okay. Okay, that means you have no answer to this question. Anyone who would like to answer? What are the basic expectations of a teacher? If I put it in some other words, so like say suppose I am a teacher and I am given an objective test to the students. What will be the performance that I would expect from the students? What would I want my students to do? Yes, plausible, legal, you can answer. Okay, Bessie is saying that to select the correct objective. Very good. Yes, and make, according to Miguel, is to take part in that particular test. Wonderful. Even sometimes students don't offer that to answer well. Very good. So this is what you expect the students to do. Now, if the same activity or some other activity you have to assess as a performance. Okay, it can be a task which they have to perform. Okay, understand the term performance. Your expectations would be very different than the ones which you are having for a test, which is an objective type of a test, isn't it? So there would be different expectations, different benchmarks. So for a test like this, like an objective test, the expectations are a bit limited. Okay, there is no range of expectations that a teacher would have from the students, isn't it? Now, just keep this thought here and let us move ahead to the next point. So this new form of assessment is most widely used to directly assess writing ability based on text produced by students under test instruction. Now, as we have been discussing the moment we began our class is which are the activities that could be conducted, and now we are stuck at a point wherein we are discussing whether test can be a performance assessment or not. So, according to the definition of performance assessment, it doesn't require a student to perform a task. Okay, as in, for example, if you are giving a task wherein the student has to perform a role play. Okay, this activity or this particular task expects a students to perform certain things at different levels of mastery. Okay, now if you have learned this revised Bloom's taxonomy, if you have an idea about it, you would understand what are the levels at which we would test the students, isn't it? Similarly, for a task like a role play, there are different levels at which I, as a teacher, would assess my students, which is not possible when you consider a test or specifically a test like an objective test. Okay, so this new form of assessment, like performance assessment, can be used for a test as well in various ways if we decide to. For example, one of the things is to directly assess writing ability based on text produced by the students under test instructions. Now, I'm here not talking about an objective test. I am talking here about a test which is subjective. Now, now this would have been an appropriate topic if you would have done test construction or construction of an achievement test earlier. But to just give you all an example, that when we construct any achievement test, there are certain things that you as a teacher or you as a test, the person who is constructing a test needs to keep in mind is that whenever you frame any question, it is important that you need to frame and answer to the question as well. So whenever we prepare any question paper, okay, the second most important thing after preparing question paper or sets of question paper is that we need to prepare the answer keys. Okay, and those answer keys are not the exact responses that we expect from the students. Instead, they are the points which we would want the students to write in the answer. Okay, I don't know how many of you all have seen this happening in the schools or in colleges, but this is a ideal practice that each and every teacher, each and every person who constructs a test needs to do. So when we prepare an answer key, what do? Is we write all the points that we would expect our students to write in the exam, like the one exam which we just had, wherein we designed a question paper wherein we tried to ask questions which are applicative, okay, which is still a lower order question, okay, wherein we wanted our students to think about that question and write in their own words. So an answer key for the question papers we set for you all had points which will not be same, like uh, which will not be rigid. Okay, they are the points which we would expect you all to write. But even if you don't write the same points, it is considered because it needs to be somewhat related to the question that is asked. So now I've written a question paper. Write in brief about performance assessment. So this is the question. This is the question that I've asked in a question paper. Okay, and I'm writing an answer key for that particular question. So an answer to that question would not be having some rigid points which I expect my students to do. Instead, the points which would reflect an understanding of that particular topic. So those points which I'll be writing in the answer key will have several levels at which I would assess the performance of my students in the exam. Like if a student is able to achieve or is able to write at least 4 of the 5 points that I have mentioned in the answer key, I consider that answer to be a very good answer. If a student is able to write only 1 point of the points that I have written in the answer key, I accordingly give marks to the student. So this is how we can relate performance assessment to a subjective test, which is not possible in an objective test. Okay, is this clear? So this is how performance assessment needs to be looked upon when we talk about test in particular, because test is something which is considered to be a very traditional form of assessing, and it doesn't go very well with the performance assessment, because performance assessment or a definition of performance assessment is very conventional form. Okay, so now let us see an example. A student may be asked to explain a historical event, or to generate scientific hypothesis, or to solve math problems, or to converse in foreign language. These are the ways by which we can assess a student in a test. Okay, so in a test, we can ask a student to explain an historical event. So based on which are the points that the students are covering while in the explanation, we would assess the performance of a student. Now, the second example is generating scientific hypothesis. How well the student has generated the scientific hypothesis, whether it is put properly, using proper terms and proper structure of the statement or not. And third example is solving a math problem. Now, mostly all of you all are from maths pedagogy as well. So we all are familiar to one thing in mathematics, that is, say suppose if you are given a problem or given a problem to solve, for example, then if you even solve 3 steps out of 5, you are marked for the 3 steps, even if the other 2 steps you have not performed or other 2 steps you have not written, isn't it? So this is how these steps can be used, or the way you solve math problems can be used and linked to performance assessment, because we are assessing the level of a student based on the steps or the number of steps the students can do for a given problem. Conversing in foreign language. So this is somewhat related to your English methodology, wherein or your ability to talk a foreign language, how well you can speak, as in your fluency, your diction, how well you can write, how good is your grammar. Okay, all those things. So these are the levels at which we can assess a student. Now, going ahead, let us see what are the basic requirements that I, as a teacher, need to look at whenever I design any performance assessment or an assessment based on the performance. See, a specific behavior or capability should be observed. Now, so far, when we are discussing about performance assessment or the activities that can be conducted in order to assess a student's performance, we took example of conversing in a foreign language. We took an example of or framing a scientific hypothesis. We took an example of writing an historical event, isn't it? So for each of these activities that we just discussed, we were looking at a specific behavior or a capability of a student, which is a must in order to conduct performance assessment. Okay, or in a way we can call it criteria or criterion. Okay, so we can have a discussion on it with much detail as we proceed. So now let us go to the next point. It should appropriately measure complex capabilities or skills that cannot be measured with pencil and paper test. Okay, first thing is that it should have some specific behaviors or capabilities, and second point is it should appropriately measure complex capabilities. Now we always discuss this particular point wherein we say that you cannot judge everyone using a same way or using a same type of test. Okay, there's a very famous saying that say suppose if you're having an elephant and a fish, if you're having an elephant, fish, and a monkey. Okay, if these are the three different animals. If you want to assess their abilities and if you have to assess their capabilities, you cannot give them a common type of a test because elephant is good at something else, monkey is good at something else, the fish is good at something else. If you ask the fish to climb a tree, it will not be possible for him. That doesn't mean that that fish is not capable or is not able to do anything. So that's why this performance assessment plays a very important role. Okay, so this paper and pencil test is like that. So paper and pencil test usually would want the students to, all of the students who are having different abilities and capabilities to perform in a common way or in a single way. Okay, which is not possible for all. Some are good at something else, some are good at performing, some are good at acting, some are good at dancing, some are good at singing. So performance assessment should involve such activities, should give platform to assess such complex capabilities or skills which are not possible with pencil and paper test. Now, since pencil and paper test is a must for an education system that we work in, we try to somehow link pencil and paper test to performance assessment by putting out certain criteria and assessing the students based on that. And it must be very, it is a very common thing that each student knows nowadays. If a question is asked in an exam, and even if you write a statement or a two, which is somehow or somewhat related to the question that is asked in the exam, you cannot be given 0 marks. That's why many teachers tell you to at least attempt the question and write whatever that you know about that question in the answer book. This is the reason why that particular instruction is given, because we cannot give 0 to any student who has at least written a point or a 2 for a given answer, no matter whether the question is of 10 marks or 2 marks. Okay, depending on the number of marks the question is allotted, accordingly we have to give marks for the points that the students write. Okay, so these are the ways by which performance assessment or this conventional concept of performance assessment is affecting, or in a way it's being used in our current education system. Okay, more about this maybe we can discuss in our next class. I think we have, yeah, it's already 10:45 and the time is over and you have to join some other class as well. So we can continue with the other aspects related to performance assessment in the next lecture. So if you all have any questions, you can please post it in the chat box, because you have, I think, 15 minutes buffer time. You can post it here in the chat box. And if not, you can leave the meeting and get ready for the next class. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining this meeting.